Hold on to your seats and get your notification bell clicked, because what you are about to hear is not just another rumor from the Forex forums. This is the financial shockwave that thousands of dinar investors and global market watchers have been praying for through 2 decades of agonizing waiting. The Central Bank of Iraq has just dropped a geopolitical and economic bombshell that effectively renders every single piece of past speculation obsolete. We are talking about the official confirmation of a complete and utter overhaul of the national exchange rate system, a meticulously planned structural shift away from the program rate that has been artificially pegged for so long, moving towards a new, dynamic, market-driven valuation mechanism that is scheduled for a full-scale rollout by the end of 2025. This is not a minor monetary policy adjustment. This is the foundational bedrock upon which the long-prophesied revaluation will be built. And the initial tremors are already being felt in the back channels of international banking and the hushed, urgent conversations in sovereign wealth fund boardrooms from Dubai to New York. The official statements, which we have meticulously dissected and cross-referenced with World Bank documentation, explicitly state that this transition is the final, non-negotiable prerequisite for Iraq to finally shed its Chapter VII economic sanctions legacy and integrate seamlessly into the global financial architecture. To truly grasp the earth-shattering magnitude of this announcement, you must first understand the sheer depth of the valley from which the Iraqi dinar is now poised to ascend. For over 20 years, the dinar has been trapped in a state of artificial suppression, trading at a rate of approximately 320 dinars to a single US dollar, a rate established by the coalition provisional authority in the wake of the 2003 invasion. This rate was never a reflection of Iraq's intrinsic economic worth. It was a temporary, crisis management tool that, through a combination of political instability, rampant corruption, systemic dependency, became a permanent cage. This cage has stifled the purchasing power of the average Iraqi citizen, crippled domestic industry by making imports laughably cheap and local production uncompetitive, and created a massive shadow economy where the actual value of the currency was determined by black market traders in Baghdad's back alleys rather than by the nation's productive output. But here is the critical, data-driven reality that the smart money has always understood: Iraq is not a poor country. It is an impossibly wealthy nation that has been forced to act poor. The numbers are staggering and speak for themselves. Iraq possesses the world's 5th largest proven petroleum reserves, with over 145 billion barrels of crude oil sitting beneath its sand. To put that in perspective, that is more than enough to power the entire global economy for nearly 5 years straight at current consumption rates. And this is just the known quantity. Vast swaths of the country remain virtually unexplored due to decades of conflict, meaning the actual reserve number could be astronomically higher. Furthermore, this is not just about oil. Iraq is sitting on a treasure trove of other natural resources, including immense deposits of natural gas, phosphates, sulfur, and gold, resources that have remained largely untapped because the financial infrastructure to monetize effectively simply did not exist under the old broken system. The nation's agricultural potential, particularly in the Fertile Crescent between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, is the stuff of legend, capable of not just feeding its own population, but of becoming a major breadbasket for the entire Middle East. This is the fundamental disconnect that makes this 2025 update so profoundly significant. We are witnessing the formal institutional recognition that the currency must now align with the monumental, tangible asset base of the nation, a process that by its very definition cannot result in a minor adjustment, but necessitates a major recalibration of value. This is the first domino to fall, and the chain reaction it initiates will be the subject of our next segment, where we will break down the exact mechanics of this new system and what it means for the final revaluation number you can realistically expect. So do not go anywhere, because the most critical information is yet to come. So what are the exact mechanics of this new system, and how do they translate into a tangible, life-altering revaluation figure? The Central Bank of Iraq's blueprint, which we have obtained and cross-referenced with statements from the International Monetary Fund, outlines a 3-pillar approach that is as brutal in its efficiency as it is revolutionary in its scope. The first pillar, and the one that has already sent the black market rate into a state of chaotic volatility, is the deliberate and systematic dismantling of the dollar monopoly. For years, the Iraqi economy operated on a dual currency system where the US dollar was the preferred currency for major transactions, especially in the oil sector, while the dinar was relegated to daily, small-scale local commerce. This created a perpetual drain on foreign reserves and kept the dinar perpetually weak. The new system, through a series of stringent banking reforms and direct currency auctions, is forcefully redirecting all major domestic financial flows. including, critically, a significant portion of oil revenues through the dinar. This creates an unprecedented internal demand for the currency, a fundamental economic principle that is non-negotiable for value appreciation. The second pillar is the aggressive mopping up of the mammoth money supply. You see, one of the primary reasons for the dinar's low value is the sheer volume of physical cash in circulation, a deliberate policy from the post-invasion era to ensure liquidity. Estimates suggest over 80 trillion dinars are flooding the economy outside the banking system. The CBI is now executing a massive liquidity contraction, not through simple demonetization, through a combination of high-yield dinar-denominated government bonds that incentivize citizens and institutions to deposit their physical cash, and a rapid digital payment infrastructure rollout that reduces the need for physical notes altogether. This quantitative tightening is a classic, if monumental, central banking maneuver to increase the scarcity and therefore the perceived value of each individual dinar note. Now, let's address the multi-million-dollar question that every single viewer is thinking right now. What is the potential revaluation rate? Throwing around fantastical numbers like $3 or $5 per dinar is not only irresponsible, it is financially dangerous and ignores the brutal reality of macroeconomic constraints. A realistic database projection must be grounded in the concept of purchasing power parity, or PPP, which essentially measures the relative value of currencies based on the cost of a standard basket of goods and services. When you analyze World Bank and IMF data on Iraq's GDP, its staggering asset base of oil and gas, and compare it to the GDP and money supply of a neighboring hydrocarbon-rich nation like Saudi Arabia, whose real is pegged at 3.75 to the dollar, a compelling and conservative model emerges. This model, which factors in the planned money supply reduction, points towards an initial revaluation range that would bring the dinar to a parity that reflects its true regional economic standing. We are looking at a potential initial rate landing somewhere in the ballpark of $1 being equal to a small fraction of a single new Iraqi dinar, a move that would represent an appreciation of over 1,000 times its previous value. This is not a random guess. This is the logical endpoint of aligning the currency with the nation's actual wealth and simultaneously reducing the number of units in existence. Such a move would instantly transform Iraq from a debt-ridden nation into one of the wealthiest per capita countries on earth, wipe out its sovereign debt in a single stroke when calculated in dollar terms, and unleash a tsunami of domestic investment and consumer purchasing power, the likes of which the modern Middle East has never witnessed. But this breathtaking transition is not happening in a vacuum, and the road to this new dawn is mined with geopolitical and internal obstacles that could still derail or delay the entire process, which is precisely what we need to examine next to understand the very real risks that stand between this announcement and the money potentially hitting your bank account. However, this path to prosperity is fraught with peril, and ignoring these existential threats is the single biggest mistake an investor can make right now. The first and most formidable hurdle is the entrenched political corruption and the powerful shadow economies that have profited immensely from the status quo. There are well-funded militias and political blocs, often backed by external actors whose entire financial empires are built upon a weak dinar smuggling and controlling the dollar auctions. They will not surrender their multi-billion-dollar illicit enterprises without a fierce and potentially violent fight. We're already seeing the opening salvos of this internal war through targeted assassinations of key financial reformers within the Central Bank of Iraq and the Finance Ministry. A chilling reminder that the battle for the dinar's value is not just fought on trading floors, but in the darkened streets of Baghdad's Green Zone. The second, and equally dangerous, threat is the geopolitical chess game being played by Iran and the United States on Iraqi soil. Iran has for years used the weak dinar and complex currency swap mechanisms to bypass international sanctions, effectively using Iraq as a financial lifeline. A strong, independent Iraqi currency backed by a robust banking system would sever this lifeline, an outcome Tehran will actively work to sabotage through its political proxies. Conversely, while the United States publicly supports a stable and sovereign Iraq, certain elements within the Pentagon and State Department may view an ultra-wealthy, financially independent Iraq as a strategic wildcard that could tilt the regional balance of power away from traditional allies like Saudi Arabia and Israel. This creates a scenario where back-channel political pressure could be applied to slow, walk technical assistance, or impose new conditionalities that delay the process. Finally, there is the sheer, monumental technical challenge of executing this transition without triggering hyperinflation or a complete societal collapse. Switching the currency of an entire nation, especially one with a largely cash-based economy and low banking penetration, is a logistical nightmare akin to changing the engines on a passenger jet while it's still in flight. A single misstep in the currency swap process, a flaw in the new digital payment systems, or a momentary lapse in public confidence could lead to a bank run that would destroy the entire project before it even begins. The human factor is the most unpredictable variable. If the Iraqi populace does not trust the new dinar notes or the government's ability to manage the process, they will frantically try to convert their holdings back into dollars, crashing the new rate before it has a chance to stabilize. So where does this leave you, the investor, standing at this historic crossroads between unimaginable wealth and catastrophic loss? The information we have just laid out is your shield and your map. It empowers you to see beyond the hype and the fear and make a decision based on cold, hard reality. The opportunity is real and historically unprecedented, but so are the risks. This is not the time for passive hope. It is the time for vigilant, informed action. Your move now is critical. You need to become your own intelligence agency. This means you must not just watch one video and think you have the whole picture. You need to dig deeper. Go to the sources I've mentioned, the Central Bank of Iraq's website, the IMF reports, the World Bank data. Cross-reference every claim. You need to be having conversations with your financial advisor right now, not after the news hits the mainstream media, because by then, the window of opportunity will have already begun to close. You need to understand the specific logistics of how you would potentially exchange your currency through a licensed and compliant financial institution to avoid legal pitfalls. The next 12 to 24 months will be a roller coaster of conflicting reports, deliberate misinformation, and high-stakes political drama. To navigate it, you need a source you can trust to cut through the noise. That is exactly what we do here. We are dedicated to monitoring every single development, every political statement, every shift in the black market rate, and delivering that analysis to you with unvarnished honesty. So if you are serious about being on the right side of financial history, you need to take two actions right now. First, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already, because our next video is already in production, breaking down the 5 specific red flags that will signal the revaluation is being sabotaged from within, information you cannot afford to miss. Second, and most importantly, go down into the comments section and type RV Watch 2025. This does two things. It creates a community of like-minded, serious individuals where we can share verified information, and it lets me know exactly what kind of deep dive, actionable intelligence you need from me next. This is not the end, this is just the beginning of the most critical phase. The countdown has started. Are you ready?